Why is it always the people with the most amount of gear that tell us that gear doesn't matter? The truth is that it actually kind of depends on you, really. If you already know what kind of photography you're going to be doing or what kind of things you want to get paid for, then buying the specific tool to complete that job is probably going to be a lot more expensive than just buying a general camera. One of my most recommended cameras of all time for just general everyday kind of things that you don't know what the hell you want to do or what you want to shoot or what you're going to be doing is something like the Canon R6 Mark III right here. Or if you're in the Sony world, something like the A7 Mark IV or Mark V. Those, in my opinion, are cameras that are practically perfect hybrid cameras for any category that you want. But the problem with those cameras, or the problem with when I recommend those kind of cameras, is that people immediately say, like, how about something that isn't fucking $3,000? The reality is, if you want something that's like a general camera, something that does everything really good, like a jack of all trades kind of thing, you're gonna pay some good money, and that's not even including the lens, right? So unless you know exactly what you're going to be doing and you know that you're not going to need a specific high-end spec, something like the Canon R10, something like the Canon R50, or in the Sony world, the A6000, 6400, 6300, 6700. Those APS-C cameras are pretty good. But again, it just depends on what it is that you want to do and if you're already aware of the limitations of the camera. But one thing that you should probably know if you're just getting started and you're thinking about gear and gear matters and I need this and I need that, is that this stuff is expensive, dude. This stuff is incredibly expensive, and if you're not ready for that, you're going to be in for some fucking sticker shock. The main question, the number one question that I always see as like a question that always pops up in my feed is why I own so many cameras and why what it is that I do for work. Well, I do content creation professionally for a business here in Philadelphia. So I do create content with these cameras for a business. I'm actually an employee, so I have a 9-to-5. The work is pretty awesome. I do their content creation, I create all of their marketing material, and I also create all their social media and handle their social media accounts. So that's what I do in my 9-to-5. And with that one job, that takes care of 3 of the cameras that I have here, each one that does something very, very specific. And then the rest are just my cameras that I create my content with, or I create content for brands. And because I have all of these cameras, I know which camera is probably the one that is best for you, right? And the camera that I recommend the most is 2 cameras for practically any situation, depending on your budget. One of them is the Canon R50V, the one that I'm shooting on right now. That's you guys. I actually have a second one of those, and I use it for my own content creation, and this camera is absolutely fantastic. This is my most recommended camera of 2026. The year before, last year, my most recommended camera was the Canon R8. This is a little bit more expensive, actually twice as much as that camera over there, but this is a wonderful, wonderful camera that is a full frame sensor. It does have a small battery, but again, this isn't eye-poppingly like expensive, like what the fuck kind of price tag. So those are the 2 cameras, and Sony has their own version of these cameras as well. They're actually a little bit more expensive because typically Canon cameras are cheaper than Sony cameras, but Sony has an open mount, which means that there are more lenses available for Sony. Like, for example, the equivalent camera to the Canon R50V, which is my most recommended camera. I know I already said that already, but I'm going to repeat it. The camera that is equivalent to that in Sony is twice as much. That's the Sony ZV-E10 II. This camera is about, the R50V is about 95% of this exact same camera as the ZV-E10 II, minus 1 or 2 things here. And if those 1 or 2 things are important to you, then you got to get the ZV-E10 II. Other than that, they're pretty much identical, and one is twice as much as the other. So again, does gear matter? It depends on you, bro. It depends on what you want to shoot, how much money you have, and if you're ready to invest in something that is either a hobby. This stuff that I have here, it started as a hobby, and then I found out how much money is available to be made, and I get to like express myself creatively. And I said, this is an opportunity. I could probably make a business out of this, and I did. So the hobby turned into a business over the course of like 6 to 7 years, 6, 7, and that's how it all starts. And if you guys are just looking for like something that's a hobby, $1,000 can get you a decent camera and a decent lens, and start there. Start with $700 to $1,000. Start there, and you have a lot of options in that price range. You have a lot of options that you can begin this as like a hobby. And then at that price range of $700 to $1,000, that same camera can evolve into some paid gear. Of course, you know, you can get paid with cheaper cameras and all that kind of stuff, but I'm talking to the general masses right now. By the way, guys, I do go live several times a week where I answer your questions directly. So if you guys happen to be interested in that and you see my little icon glowing, it means that I'm currently live. So feel free to hop in and answer any questions, or just hang out. You know, usually it's a good group of people, of other creatives. I have some Sony people that are in there that are pretty much experts in the Sony lineup. I have some Lumix guys that are in there. I also have some other Canon people, but it's just a collective of people that do all kinds of different styles of photography or video work, and we just kind of hang out. So if you're interested in that, feel free to jump in and join the conversation. Today is day 4, and today's prompt was what I just said. The tool doesn't matter as much as showing up. And that is exactly right, man. I cannot tell you how many times I've actually told people, it's exactly what I'm doing now, right? The 30-day like vlogging challenge. When people ask me in the chats or in the lives, like, hey, how do I get better at this, or how do I get better at that? My first immediate like answer back to them is go outside and start photographing stuff, start filming stuff. But that's only one part of the equation, right? In addition to going out there and photographing and videoing, you got to come back home and you got to edit. You gotta like spend time editing. When I first got started 7 years ago photographing, I went out every day with my camera, which kind of adds to another point, is that you need to be able to carry your camera with you everywhere. That doesn't mean take like every single lens that you own or every single camera that you own, but take the camera and your favorite lens. If you only have one camera, take the one camera. Of course, if you have one lens, then take that. But go outside every single day. Even if you don't want to go outside, practice a little still photography inside of your studio or your home or a little corner of your house or your bedroom. It doesn't matter, but the important part is for you to actually photograph daily, and the second part, which is just as important, is to edit daily. I promise you that by the end of 30, 45, 60, 90 days, if you do that every single day, you're gonna be one hell of a fucking photographer. This has been day 4 of the daily vlog series, guys. I appreciate you guys coming in. I'm gonna catch you on the next one. Adios.